Happy Self-Care Tuesday. This is me, Shanna, back for another week to talk to you about making self-care a priority. So today we're going to talk a little bit about grief. As with everything is going on in the news and in our country and in the world, that can cause a lot of grief. So I want to show you and kind of talk with you through a couple things to help you understand where you are and maybe where you want to be. So first off, there are 5 stages of grief. With COVID-19, we're kind of seeing them all. Depending on what your situation is, what's going on with your job, with your home life, you might be in one of these different stages. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily go in order. There's no right way or wrong way to experience grief. So I want to start off pointing out one of the stages, which is denial and isolation. So when it comes to these stages of grief, with denial and isolation, these are the coping mechanisms to kind of dealing with the situation. So maybe like at the beginning during self-quarantine, a lot of people were kind of like in denial on like, oh, this maybe is not very serious, but it's that thing happening all over the world, but I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm not really too worried about it. But then, the CDC said if you are symptomatic, you need to stay home. And so a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm going to take some of that time off. I probably just have a cold, but, I need to stay home. And they weren't really taking it very seriously. So another way that denial and isolation could look is when we get to the point where we have people that are self-isolating as well, as we are seeing more and more positive cases, as people are constantly checking to see what the updates are every day. There's these constant news updates all over the place from the federal government, even with the CDC, especially from the CDC. And what does that lead to? Panic. There are people panic buying. There are people thinking now we're reaching the end of the world, and it can spread. It can spread from one person to another, and that causes a lot of anxiety. So then people start to isolate out of that fear and out of that panic. So then we are in shelter in place. So that was one of our more recent announcements over the last week. People are realizing this is really happening. This is actually a serious situation. We need to kind of start planning things differently. Some people are saying, I'm stuck at home. You can only go out for essentials, or if you are an essential worker, you are going out, which means now you are possibly putting yourself at risk, therefore putting your family at risk. And then there's just so much uncertainty. There's a lot of feelings that go along with that, and not knowing what is going to happen next. How quickly is this going to progress? Then we kind of go to another stage, and that would be anger. There are a lot of changes happening, and people are realizing that with change, there can be some self-sacrificial things that we have to do, or even things that are inconvenient for us now. So these kind of feelings can translate into anger, and we could be displacing that anger in a variety of ways. But these feelings, like, you feel fear, now you can be angry about it. You're feeling frustrated, okay, now it could even progress into anger. Anxiety or stress, or even unrealistic expectations on yourself, on others, all of those things can virtually end up bringing you back to a situation where you are feeling very angry, and that can be kind of scary. Then we're looking at a loss of control. You don't have control of this situation. I don't have control of this situation. There's school doors that are closing. School's still in session, so now there's a new way of learning, which many of us don't have control over. I see a lot of memes saying, okay, well, Common Core math, I don't understand, but you're going to learn how to carry a 1. So there's a new way of learning things. Any special occasions or trips that you had planned are now canceled. Sports seasons, we don't even have sports beginning soon. What is that even going to look like? Then there's just the everyday of activities. Like it would be nice to just go out for ice cream, or just be able to go and spend time with family members and connect. But that's not going to happen, not for a while, and we don't know how long. And that can create a lot of anger and frustration. So then it'll bring us to a stage of bargaining. So when you're in bargaining mode, you're feeling very vulnerable, you're feeling very helpless. So you try to find control, you try to regain some of that control, maybe using if only statements. Well, if only this happened, or if only that happens, making promises. Well, God, if you, change this around, I'm going to be a better person. Maybe there's even some guilt or self-blame. If you or someone ended up contracting the coronavirus, there could be some guilt and shame involved in that. Or, oh, I'm an essential worker, I'm going out and working, but I'm coming home to my family. I could very well be bringing illness into my very own home. So there's this bargaining that can begin to happen. And then we're looking at depression. We're in a season of mourning right now. We are feeling the loss that all these changes have brought about us. There's the practicality along with this new reality that we're all trying to come to terms with. We're worrying about our health, job security, bills, essentials of life, just things that we need shelter, we need water, we need food, and all of these things that are essential to us, we are not able to enjoy them as we used to. That can definitely make us feel like we're mourning things, as well as responding to this new reality. So that could bring on feelings of sadness and hopelessness, powerlessness, even feeling helpless. Like there is nothing I can do in this situation. What can I regain control of? Nothing. And a lot of people are at that point where they're like, there is nothing I can do. I can't even barely get up in the morning. I'm hardly even changing from my morning pajamas to my evening pajamas. Some people are really struggling right now. They're really feeling depressed. So we want to make sure that we are reaching out and we're checking on people in our life and seeing where they're at with all of this. Then let's look at acceptance. That is one of the last stages of grief. And that is when you come to a point of understanding. Understanding what the situation is, understanding that there's going to be some uncertainties, understanding that life will never go back to the way we once knew it. And when we get to that point, everybody's response is personal. You could be either allowing your feelings to come and just feeling them in full force, or maybe even restricting feelings and trying to just kind of go in robot mode. Maybe you're binging. You're just like a couch potato and you're binging on everything that you can binge because you just don't even want to face the reality. Or maybe you're on the opposite end and you're trying to schedule everything and you're trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy, and you're just as busy as you were when you were out and about. Maybe you're finding ways to connect with nature, connect with one another, maybe connecting online. There are a lot of ways that we can communicate and stay connected, even though we are sheltering in place and we have to maintain a social distance from other people. But maybe you're a person who's totally disconnecting right now. Maybe you feel completely isolated and you feel alone. I believe that you can be in isolation and not feel alone, but maybe you're just feeling alone. You're feeling like nobody's checking in on you. You don't know what tomorrow holds. You can't even get up in the morning. Those feelings are all validated. Those levels of acceptance and trying to understand and come to terms with what we're facing is completely normal. And if you're in any of those places, there is no guilt, there is no shame in that. Everybody processes grief wherever they can, however they can, with whatever that they have available to them. Because this situation looks so different for everybody. So another way of responding that could be personal, maybe you're a person who is looking to donate to others, helping those in needs. But maybe you're a person who is looking for help. Maybe you're a single parent who has small children and you can't leave home to go get the essentials because you don't want to put your kids at risk and bring them in. Maybe you're a person who is supporting local businesses, especially the small businesses right now. Or maybe you're a person who's looking for local support. There are needs that you have and you're trying to look for those resources. Maybe you're working on service projects. Maybe you are on the receiving end of those service projects. Like I see a lot of people making the masks right now. There are a lot of DIYs out there on different needs at the hospitals and retirement communities and all of those places where they have a lot of needs, and people are stepping up for the opportunity to serve in their community. And maybe you're a person who is finding resources and sharing resources. Maybe you need more resources. At Fairhaven, we always say, don't be afraid to ask for what you need. It is important to ask for what you need. And I see a lot of it going on, you know, in all these different situations that people are experiencing. They're like, hey, we have a need. And other people are jumping to the front saying, we can help fill the need. Mr. Rogers is one of my personal heroes. And his mother had always told him, in any type of crisis situation, look for the helpers. I know I have a lot of friends on my page that have been sharing that same message, but look for the helpers in this situation. And when there are people that are stepping up to help, there is hope. So even though you are experiencing grief right now, it's okay. We all are. And we're all experiencing it in a different way. Doesn't mean that there's a right way or a wrong way. Ask for what you need. And know that there are helpers. If you're needing help, if you need somebody to call you every day, say, I need you to call me every day and tell me to change out of my pajamas and put clothes on, or tell me to step outside of my house, or tell me to stop watching all the news reports and all the new deaths that are being reported every day. You know what you need. You know how you might self-sabotage. Look for ways of healthy ways to take care of self and to allow these stages of grief, however they may come. And with that, I will close Self-Care Tuesday with Shanna. Look forward to our video next week. Thank you. Have a great day.